In today's Bloomberg The Big Take, the U.S. is examining relationships between big banks like Morgan Stanley and hedge funds to see fund managers if they were tipped off prior to some of the major deals, allowing them to trade before markets moved on those deals. Joining us for an exclusive look is our Bloomberg News hedge fund reporter, Hema Parmar. And I think the first thing that struck our eyes is the new vocabulary that we're learning, right? Tell us about this story, and then CAS, the capital as a service, and how that's intertwined.
Yes, so CAS is one of the firms who are embroiled in this probe into Morgan Stanley. Their communications with Morgan Stanley are being examined, among a number of other people as well, too. And CAS is launched as a hedge fund. It's run by a gentleman named Frank Fu, and it stands for Capital as a Service. And what's interesting about CAS is it's the largest, or certainly one of the giant funds that focus on ECM trading and block trades. And it has become, it's wielded billions of dollars in helping banks offload blocks of shares. And so they have spoken to prospective investors when they were launching about how they go about accessing their markets and really touting their relationships with banks. Saying that they have strong relationships, that they are the first or early people to know about what deals are hitting.
Everything you said sounds legal and sounds relatively straightforward, yet everyone seems to hate this for some reason. Why is there so much blowback to this?
So there's a bit of gray area when we think about block trading and that universe. And so if an investor is looking to offload a chunk of stock, they'll go to a bank like a Morgan Stanley and say, hey, can you help me find a buyer? And so the bank will then go and speak to a number of funds and say, if a block is about to come to the market, would you be interested? What's being examined right now is, are funds using that information to then short? Are certain funds getting preferential treatment? And what does that mean in terms of non-public information? Certainly is a new thing that's being examined.
It's interesting because even though there have been so many questions around block trading for so long, this has really ballooned and a lot of hedge funds do it. So what's unique about Frank Fu, and what is this fund like?
Yeah, so the fund, because a lot of other players in the space, they tend to have a portion of what they do being block trades. But this is a fund that really does focus on this one universe and access to IPOs, and building out and talking about that relationship that they've built with banks. Frank Fu is different from a number of other players in the ECM space. His personality has been described to us as more introverted, less showy, and less bro-y, as some other players have been described. And people at the firm will play chess during happy hour in their conference rooms versus going out.
Wait,
that's what we do.
Right, risk management there. When you're thinking about the block trading business, when all of this is said and done, and there's a lot of evidence that there's a lot of questions being asked across Wall Street, do you think the block trading business goes away in some fashion?
It's hard to say because, and I should say that the DOJ and SEC has not accused anybody of any wrongdoing at this point. So it's still early days. I think once we get some sort of sense of how the probe plays out, that might be an indicator of the implications. But, there are a smaller group of players in this space, and certainly it's an area that's being examined more closely these days.